Travolta was the bad guy, and then the dude that was on the good side, I can't remember who that was. It was like you gotta like hack this thing and like send it to Swordfish.
Alright.
One of Halle Berry's finer roles, I guess.
Got it. We're all right. Hey, look, we're going live.
Why don't you bring us in, John?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Should I do all the disclaimers? Daryn, can you bear with me?
No problem, I'm ready.
All right.
Disclaimer.
We'll get that. We've been, this is the Bronco Alumni Show. We've been gone for 3 years, so we'll do a little disclaimer here. The opinions of the show are, the opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily ours, the hosts, the guests, Suds,
Boise State,
Boise
University,
Broadway Avenue.
Yeah, or
Anybody.
anyone in general. We're just
Anyone,
giving everybody a
city,
general
Boise.
waiver of liability.
State of
Perfect, I
Idaho.
love it.
So here we go without further ado, I guess.
Legal. Now that we took care of
Yeah,
legal.
we took care of legal. We're good.
Okay.
You want? All right. So episode 1 here of 2022, getting ready for the Oregon State game. A very special, very special guest to start off. Mr. Daryn Colledge here, former BSU player, former
DC. Thanks
NFL
for being
player,
here.
and current director of the Varsity B.
Long-time hack, new job, long-time has been.
Welcome to the show, Daryn.
I'm excited to be here.
Speaking of Varsity B, let's just start right there.
Okay.
How did you? How did this happen? How did you become the director? We know you played here, but how did you become the director?
Well, I've wasted most of the money I made in the NFL, and you wouldn't believe what insurance costs. So I got a job with the state because it came with benefits.
You got that Percy package.
Well, actually, I don't even get Percy. It's super weird. I thought I was getting Percy, and everybody kept talking about this Percy thing, and I'm like, then they send me my contract, and I'm not even a Percy employee, so I fall under some whole different thing that has some whole different name that I don't remember. But really what happened was, when Andy came back and was the coach here, called him up, congratulated him. I was wrapping up my guard service here for the state of Idaho, and kind of thinking about what the next opportunity was, and really had a bunch of other things and other irons in the fire. And Andy said, "Hey, I'd love to have a conversation with you, about your involvement with the university." Didn't know if he was asking for coaching, didn't know what he really wanted me to do, because I was, I told Andy when we get hired, I said, "Congratulations, if you need anything from coaching, sweeping the floors, or just more money, let me know. I want to support you." And he said, "Hey, I want you to come back and take over the Varsity B and bring back the alumni and get all the guys back and get all the girls back." And obviously, I support all 18 sports, but football's the largest group of alumni, so he wanted me to help kind of facilitate that and come back and help support the university. Had an opportunity to meet with Jeremiah Dickey, the new AD, and look at his vision. Said, "I'll do it if Jeremiah and I see eye to eye." And we did. Had one meeting and said, "All right, I'll come back." And it's been awesome because they give me a lot of left and right latitude to come back and build up the program, make it what I want. The great things I do are the reunions and the gatherings, and that's all the fun stuff, but really try to find more and more resources to help our former athletes and give them an opportunity outside of their sports that they played, and try to make them productive members of society right here in Boise, Idaho.
So I guess follow-up question. What would be the biggest thing you've changed since you've been in charge?
Well, one of the biggest things we changed actually is we dropped all the dues. We used to have a dues fee to be part of the Alumni Association, which a lot of universities do, and for a place like in Notre Dame or Texas, I'm sure they make a lot of money and do the whole 9 yards. But the problem was for me that I wasn't going to ask our athletes to give $1 to any program that they've sacrificed their blood, sweat, and tears for. I think that you paid your dues right out on the field. So I said, the biggest important thing for me was I wanted everybody to be a part of the Alumni Association. I want everybody back. I want everybody showing up. I'll find money. I'll go beg, borrow, and steal from somebody else. I'll find money to run the program. But I want you back connecting with your fellow athletes. I want you to have relationships with all the people that you played with. Because in all reality, when you walk away from the game, the hardest part of that is walking away from the locker room. It's not the sport. That's great. You miss the competition, all that, but you miss the locker room. You miss that camaraderie. We need each other more than ever to make sure that we're watching out for each other. 90% of us are going to walk away from the game being just fine. But 10% of us are going to have a struggle. They're going to walk away from that identity, and we need to make sure that you have a place as an athlete to call home forever. That's Boise State. That locker room, no matter what sport you played in, that's your family. You chose to be part of that, and that's going to be your family for the rest of your life. So we want to make sure that everybody's there, and I want to make sure there wasn't anything impeding you from joining that, whether it be $25 or $25,000. I want to make sure that you had it. And once you got that, I tell all my athletes, don't give me $1, give your sport $1. If you want to make things better, support those athletes out there that are still playing. Make it better for them than it was for you.
Well, there you have a breaking news. Daryn's going to pay everybody's fees, it sounds like.
I am, because they're $0.
$0.
I got $0. I got a check for $1. I'm
I
paying
can
all
afford
fees.
that.
Yep.
Thank you.
I see you're just a lowly Idaho National Guard member. Is that
Well, a former Idaho National Guard. I actually ETS'd in, I think it would have been April of this year. So I wrapped up my tour of duty, or whatever you want to call it, for people outside the military fashion in 2022. So I served my 6 years. One of the best experiences of my life. Enjoyed it. Got a chance to serve in Afghanistan. Met some of the best men and women I've ever had a chance to work with, and had an awesome time. And now it was time for the next chapter.
One question about that. You came back, you obviously, my guess is you had a bunch of NFL money at that time. So you could have rode the wave, become a local celebrity, and come out here. What made you make the decision to sacrifice and serve your country?
I already told you, I blew most of my money.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't, it's so funny, like you talk to I'm good friends with, obviously, Jerry Kramer and the whole Green Day connection. Jerry and I have been in a lot of events together. He's an Idaho guy, and we talk about the money difference between when he played and when I played. Those guys used to have second jobs, and he was one of the first dudes that really negotiated contracts, so he didn't have to work in the off season to continue playing. I thought I was making pretty good money when I played, and then now I see the money these guys are making. It's like every generation, you're kind of behind the next generation. You're like, oh man, if I was one of those guys, I'd be great. But the fact of the matter is, I made some really, really good money, and I got to take care of a lot of people, and made sure my family was going to be good, and my daughter's college is paid for, and we helped out family along the way. But I didn't make so much money that I'm flying around in jet. I own a normal house. I drive a used car. I'm not much different than the average person. But the military was something I always wanted to do. It was I came from a small town in Alaska. I lived between two military bases. A ton of members of my family served. My brother served as a Green Beret. I grew up around military service, and I came from the kind of town where you either got out with a scholarship, or you got out through the military, or you did what your dad did. And I kind of thought I was going to go to college. I thought military was going to be my route, but college football was a way to get my school paid for. I was blessed with that opportunity. But when I came back and everybody was taken care of, and I knew my wife and children were going to be okay, I wanted to do something that was just for me, but also do something that supported the community that supported me. I came back to Idaho. These people paid for my education. They celebrated. They wore quarterbacks jerseys. I don't think anybody but my mother ever wore mine, but it's one of those things where they came out and supported me and watched me play and paid for my education, give me everything I have. I don't negate the fact that every single thing that I have in my life is provided by Boise State. I'm not above that. I know I worked hard, but I met my wife here. I got my college education here. I got a chance to play in professional football from here. So I wanted to come back and serve this community. And then there was an opportunity to fly around in helicopters and shoot guns, and I was like, okay, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. So the money went way down. The insurance was really cheap, and it seemed like something fun to do for a few years.
I was in Daryn College. I just want you to know that. The whole time I've seen plenty of Daryn.
There might be 10 floating around there. So I think my buddy actually owns 3 of them, and he seems to wear them. He might be the only guy who wears them anymore. So.
And what was your official position?
I was a 15 Tango, so I was a helicopter crew chief and maintainer. So you work as a as a door gunner, flying mechanic, assistant to the medic. Kind of depends on what role you're in. We do assault companies here out of Gallen Field. We also do medevac here out of Gallen Field. I've gotten to serve under both. I served in Afghanistan with a medevac unit, so you work more as a assistant to the medic and mechanic and protector of pilots and stuff like that. And kind of depends on your role. I loved it because, for one, I'm a private pilot in my own life. I love aviation. But 2, you get to wear a lot of hats. You get to land on a helicopter, you do all kinds of cool things. Plus, I don't like them in the bench. And I wanted to serve as an enlisted soldier. I had a college degree. I could have went as an officer, but I wanted to work with soldiers that were enlisted. And I don't think I'm anything special. I don't think I'm above anybody else. So the opportunity to go in there and maybe teach those younger guys a few life skills and pass those on and say, there's some different directions and opportunities, and pass on some of that guidance. I think I relish that opportunity. Where Daryn College, certain people feel like maybe there's a moniker that if I'd have walked in as an officer, I think it would have been a different story for me. But starting from the bottom and moving my way up, it was a awesome experience, and the way I wanted to do it.
Well, I think that's a big theme in your life. I've seen the recruiting tape that you sent out when you were in high school. I mean, you had a mission early on, and you made it happen. You did whatever you wanted to be there. I can respect that big time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you and I remember we actually had tapes.
Yeah.
We actually sent out recruiting tapes, and it's so funny. I remember I sent out my recruiting tapes, and I really just wanted an opportunity. I was the first male in my family to leave with a college degree. I didn't think I was going to come to Boise State and tear up the world. I didn't think I was going to be a starter. It was one of those things. I was an undersized kid from North Pulaski, played defensive end and punted because my town had 14 people in it. And it was one of those things that I wanted to come here and I wanted to work my ass off and I wanted to earn a spot. And I just want to make people there proud. But I wanted to earn a college degree and I wanted to be part of the team. And the people I met here, the people I worked with, guys like Jason, guys like Rob, guys like Scott Huff, those guys taught me what it meant to be part of a group and what it meant to be part of a team and what it meant to really, really work your butt off and be part of something bigger yourself. And it's been a catalyst for the rest of my life. I've taken that same attitude in every single place that I've gone to, and I've just tried to outwork everybody around me and show them. I've never been the biggest or the fastest or the most talented people I've ever worked with, but I show up at the right time, the right place, the right uniform, and I work as hard as I can. And I found success, and that seems to be the thing that I just try to pass on. There's always people more talented than me in everything I do, but I keep kind of grinding, and it's the things I learned right here on the blue turf that have kind of set those in motion. And as much as most of us don't want to give credit to guys like Jeff Bittman, the fact is that a guy like that really kind of instilled in us. He made it hard and he made it work for us, and he grinded it out.
Well, that's pretty. You bring up an interesting point because Rob Vine mentioned on the show that he was brought in as a defensive end.
Yeah.
Is that a big prop? Do a lot of Boise State offensive linemen maybe get promised a shot at defensive end?
Shout out to Matt Hill.
Yeah, shout out to Matt Hill, exactly. I think Matt Hill is the godfather of it all. But I got to feel like a guy like Matt Navis. I don't know if Matt Navis ever played defensive end, so, but a lot of guys, especially since offensive line, a lot of people look at the offensive line and you look, it's the big uglies, it's the fat guys, it's whatever. Like the dudes I played with were extremely talented and extremely athletic, and you kind of come from that side. It was super funny because I walked in the door. I came out of high school basketball season when I showed up here. I was 230 pounds and undersized, and I was like, I thought I was going to be defensive end, and I was going to get to about 255 and have the abs and the whole 9 yards, and I was going to have all the girls on campus. I came from this small town, and I walked in the door, and they're like, hey, we're going to make you an offensive lineman. And literally one of the first people to walk past me in the building was Rob Vine. I was like, I'm never going to be like that. What are you talking about? That dude's like 325. Like, he's huge. He was a monstrous man. But they found a way. They kept me overfed and taught me. And, I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, being an offensive lineman, like, defensive ends, it's fun. I get it. No big deal. But offensive line's a family. It's a group. Like, offensive line, whether you play at a high school level or you play at a professional level, the highest level I played at, every room is almost the exact same. It's made of great dudes that will go out of their way to make everybody around them better and make every single sacrifice and take none of the credit for it. And it's one of the most humbling experiences, one of the greatest experiences. I'm still the closest friends with all the guys I played offensive line with. It's a special group, and I'm so glad that Boise State looked at me and said, nah, defensive ain't going to work. Let's make you an offensive line.
Do you have anything to add, Turner? I know you have some feelings on it.
Oh man, it's like fighting people every play. That's the place to be.
Yeah, you're going to go. The one hard thing about being an offensive lineman is you're actually going to have to get into fights with people, for people you actually may not like on the team. There may be a wide receiver on your team or a running back that you're like, dude, that dude is the worst person on our team, but you have to go out there and get in a fight for that guy. And that's the super thing, because you're always in the middle of it. You're the front line of defense for your entire offense, and you're the first person to show up for a squad that's going to happen. But that's the great thing, because those other 4 dudes out there are going to be there for you every single time.
Well, talking about bonds between linemen, when you got to the NFL, apparently you had a pretty good bond with two guys, Jason and Tony, and you invested some of that money somewhere. Tell us about 3 Fat Guys Mine.
Well, they're actually a pair of hacks. So Tony played it. Tony's a Nevada Wolfpack guy. So actually, in all reality, I should hate him. And Jason Spitz, we actually lost to. He's a Louisville Cardinal. So it's one of those things where I should hate him, but I love both of them. So we were all drafted the exact same year. One of us was second, one was third, and the other one was a 5th rounder. And we were part of the rebuilding of the offensive line at Green Bay. They had a bunch of changes, and they had a bunch of older guys that were moving on to different roles and more money in the whole 9 yards. And but they still had to protect an older Brett Favre. And we were part of that crew that was brought in to kind of change that. And went through camp together, and you immediately bond. Most guys get thrown into an NFL situation, and you're going to be in a room with a bunch of veterans, and you're kind of one of the young guys are fortunate enough to make it 1 or 2 guys, but we were part of the group, and they all sat us down and said, hey man, no lie, a good group of you guys are going to make it because we need to replace guys and we have to replace them in this position. So we went through early grinds together, successes and failures that really kind of formed us as players, and we found a way to also enjoy each other's company while getting drunk. And wine kind of came in the mix, and we were fortunate enough to play at the time with a guy named Charles Woodson. I'm sure nobody on this podcast has ever heard of Charles Woodson, but just a stud and a guy who owned a wine company. So he kind of set us up with the opportunity to make our own wine, and Three Fat Guys was born. So Three Fat Guys started the company, so Three Fat Guys kind of still run it.
Nice. So now we know where some of that money went, to those late night dinners. Huh?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. I've wasted most of my money on food and booze, so I probably can't tell you all the other things I wasted my money on because I'm just a family podcast. So.
Well, it's only fair to make it back.
Exactly. I need to make it back, so if you see my wine out there, please drink it because I've still got kids.
Where do we find this wine?
Oh, I mean, I think you find it a few places in Boise now, so I'm not here to promote my brands. You know what? You find it right next door to James. How about that? We poured a couple bottles right next door to James, and any of your finer establishments, if they're not serving Three Fat Guys, I don't consider them a fine establishment anymore in this valley.
Get out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Leave immediately.
Wow. All right, so that's a James. How did it get in there? Huh?
Well, you know what? I knew a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew a guy. They also know I need to pay my bills, so they're trying to help me out.
So now, have you expanded this into whiskey? Is there any plan to go into?
I think there's always a plan whenever you're an offensive lineman and you're ever in the booze business. I think you're always looking for the next revenue stream. I think we'd love to have spirits, we'd love to have beer, but the fact of the matter is, Tony Mall, he runs the company full time out of Sonoma. He handles all of our wine with our winemakers out there and does an excellent job of it. Jason's got his own business going on back in Louisville, and I'm here in Boise working my tail off from the university and a million other projects. So we have plans to expand, but how fast that happens, who knows? But if somebody's just looking for us to slap our pretty faces on a bottle of their booze, we're happy to take pictures.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to start any trouble, but I went on the website and you said Jason.
Yep, Jason Spitz.
But your picture's first.
Well, my picture should be first. I am the best looking. There's no line about that. Like, most talented, best looking. Jason is the least good looking and the most frugal and probably the wealthiest out of all of us now. And Tony, he's the dreamer, but he still represents the third fattest guy. So he's kept the label alive. He's each one of us has lost more weight than the one previous, and Tony's bringing up the rear. So he's keeping our label alive because most people see Jason and they're like, you never played offensive line. And me, they're like, hey, okay. But Tony, they're like, all right, we're offensive line. Gotcha.
I noticed that's a trend. When I was a little kid and I would meet linemen that were old, they were still big. Now when I meet former linemen, 2 years later, they look not my size, but.
Well, we kind of tell everybody, when it comes to offensive linemen, you really got to go one of two ways. Now, there's guys like Jason and I, they fall right in the middle, and we're staying healthy, but like offensive linemen either get to like 230 pounds right away, or they're like 430 pounds. There's like no middle ground. So, but the guys that are 230 pounds, they're doing that because like all receivers and DBs, they always get fat. Like they enjoyed their time during college where they got to be the skinny guys and pick up the girls and man the abs, and everybody's like, oh, and now they're like 40 and they're huge.
Just let it go.
Yeah, they just let it go. So offensive linemen, we're trying to make up that fourth quarter. We're like, all right, we're on the back end, losing weight.
What's it like to have abs?
Yeah, exactly. Like you kind of want to know, but I still eat too much and drink too much to really be really fit. I can't give up those two habits. I literally tell everybody I work out so I can drink all the time.
Jason?
Yeah. What's up?
Anything
Any
to add?
other questions for me?
I don't know. I'm going to run out of questions. Keep going. So, you have too good of answers over here, so I apologize.
Should I be more controversial to give you a chance to?
No.
Well, let me think more of that.
No, I think people just want to be educated.
Yeah.
And want to learn.
I don't know if I can offer you much education. I can offer you insight. That's about it. I don't think I'm going to make anybody that much smarter, but I'm definitely I'll probably give you a story you can tell to your friends.
All right. I mean, I'm going to throw some wild cards in here.
Okay, throw them in.
I don't know. Should I bring up who I am?
No, let's do the speed round.
Speed round.
Do the speed round real quick?
Bust out. Yeah,
We'll get to that later.
we got 15 minutes left.
I got a question for him. I have to ask this question. It's in my DNA. So you were drafted in 06, right?
Yeah, sure. 05, 06, something like that.
So So did you play the year in the championship game against the Giants?
I did play the championship game against the Giants.
Okay, I grew up in New York, and I'm a Giants fan.
So you enjoyed Eli and you enjoyed the moment. You actually watched the championship game, realized you should have won that game.
No, we had no business.
No business win that game.
But there was a frozen rock that was kicked very far.
No question there was.
So.
Yep.
I don't know. Any insights to that game? We'll get to the.
You know what? That was a terrible game to lose, but it was super funny actually. So when we went to the championship game, and that was actually my second year in the league. So I was drafted in 05, went in 06. We lost the championship game to the Giants, and I went in the locker room. I'd left Boise State, and I'd won 4 conference championships in a row. Like all we did is win. Like I lost 6. I think I lost 6 or 7 games in my entire career. We lost one ever on the blue. Yeah, we were part of the decade of dominance. So we lost 1 game at home ever. That was my bowl game, which actually didn't even count as a home game. We were away. So, like, I was used to winning. And so when we lost the championship game, I went in the locker room and I'm like, all right, guys, hey, that sucks for sure. But next year, come back and win it all. And dudes were crying. Like, grown men were crying. And I was like totally confused. I was like, I don't get it. Why are dudes like breaking down? Like, we almost made the wild card our rookie year, my rookie year. We went to the championship our second year. Next year, we're slated to win it all, right? And I had an assistant offensive line coach at the time, Jerry Fontenot, played 16 years in the league, most of them for New Orleans. One of the great dudes I actually had a chance to play with my career. A really great mentor, just a dude who knew a lot about the league and passed on. He actually kind of pulled me aside and was like, you don't know yet how rare the opportunity is to do what we did, to be in that situation and be that close and to fail. He's like, I played 16 seasons and I made the playoffs 3 times in my entire career and never made it past a wild card round. Never made it past 1 round in his entire career. That's 16 years. He's like, some of the dudes in this room will never ever play another football game in their life, and they'll never be in that situation with a championship game. And that really kind of set it in for me. And that's why when you see the NFL change, like, there's a huge difference between the haves and have-nots. No different than the real world. In the locker room, my left tackle was making $5 million, and I was making $300,000. Like, that's a have, and I was a have-not. Now, $300,000 for a normal human being, it's a lot of money. But in that locker room, I was the poor person, But that was more money than I ever had in my life, so I was happy. But when the playoffs hit, everybody's making the same amount of money, and everybody's looking for one thing. Like, all of a sudden, you go from a game that everybody's just taking care of themselves for 16 weeks. How do I get paid? How do I stay safe? How do I get as many catches as I can? How do I score touchdowns to make my bonus? To the playoffs hitting, and it's all about a team and a family. And I tell everybody, when you get the playoffs in professional football, it's the one time it feels like college football. It's the one time that it really feels like real football and pure football, and you're out there for the joy of the game. Because everybody cares about everybody, and everybody's taking care of everybody. That's how college felt to me every time. Like, you were out there for the guys you played with, and the coaches, and maybe not even the coaches. Some of the coaches probably taking care of something. You were out there for the dudes you played with for sure. That's what the playoffs are like. And I didn't realize it until that second year. And all of a sudden, that was a switch that flipped, and it was like, okay, I got to win a championship. And then I made the playoffs 2 more times with the Packers, and then won Super Bowl 2010. So
you talking about how maybe that built the foundation, the guys that did stay around, did that moment stick with you?
Yeah, moment stick with us. You know how to overcome. Obviously the first year Aaron came back, it was a little bit different. He was making his adjustments. It's no different than a brand new coach coming to his team for the first year. You try to make those first adjustments, and then all of a sudden you're looking at a wild card again, and then you make the playoffs again, and then you make a wild card game and you make a run. But you have the dudes at the table that now knew what it was like and what the playoffs were like, and we had more guys at the table that have been in that experience before and wins. Alabama wins a lot, obviously, because of the talent they can draw in, but they also win a lot because they're in a situation where everybody in there knows that intensity and knows what it takes to get to that next level, and that's what that team was like. We walked in as the 6th seed in the wild card when we won a championship. The dudes in that room had been around the playoffs. They had won championships out of places, or they had won playoff games. They knew what it was going to take. And that's the difference. It's kind of finding that place. A lot of teams get to the playoffs and maybe the first time in a flash, and then they fan out. But you look at a team like the Patriots, they know what it takes to get through 16 games and you get to the playoff run, and they can make those adjustments. And that team could. And I tell everybody, if that team would have stuck together, if we hadn't had so many people depart, we could have won another championship in the next year. We just had those kind of guys on that team, that kind of cohesion. It wasn't the flashiest group. Like you look at my offensive line, like the guys that were on that offensive line, there was probably one or two dudes that anybody would even know outside of boys I know. But that group could work together as a 5-man cohesive unit and get the job done. And when they broke all of it up, they replaced it with bigger names, and then it just didn't work out. The cohesiveness had changed. They're still fighting for another championship since I left. Now, I'm pretty sure it's because I hexed them. When they didn't re-sign me, I said, a hex on your house, you won't win a championship after I leave, and here we are. I'm bitter. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, I'm a bitter person. Like I hold a grudge.
I should have done my research, but did you make the playoffs after you left the Packers?
Yeah, I made the playoffs again with the Cardinals. Once out of 3 years I was there. So.
And I guess, was that a different experience?
Yeah, totally different experience. It was just one of those things. We actually had a really great squad. We actually brought Kevin Cobb in. He was the backup for Mike Vick, and was just a stud. Like we actually went on a 6-0 run to start that season, and we were going to make a playoff run for sure that year. And Kevin got injured in a bad play, and our season kind of imploded. And then the next year we were in the process of trying to replace him. So the first 2 years I played with Kevin. First one was a new experience. We kind of built up and got ourselves going. I think we went 8-8 that year. Missed the playoffs. Made a wild card, I think, that year. Missed the playoffs the next year when he got injured. The year we thought we were going to make our run. And then the third year, Carson Palmer came in. And love Carson Palmer, great dude, lives here in Idaho now. One of the great dudes actually played in the NFL as a dude, period. And then by the fourth year, I was getting replaced by the next big thing. So actually replaced by Colledge Nada to play, pardon, not Colledge Nada, but I can't remember this. Anyway, somebody better than me, I'm sure, replaced me out of Arizona.
It's not for long, right?
Oh, it's not for long, Lee. Yeah, so that's for sure.
Well, neither are your 20s. I don't know why people get that.
Yeah.
I mean, you play in the NFL mostly in your 20s.
Yeah. I feel super fortunate to play the 9 I played, so I kind of just dug in like a tick and made sure everybody else got into it. So. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, like I said, a hex on their house. Anybody that's backing me up.
Guys, you can't just hit them with a little bat.
Yeah, exactly. Throw a bad block, roll into the wrong person. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Cut, guys.
That's kind of how I did it.
Yeah. That's how Tom Brady made it. Look where he's at. So.
I feel like Tom and I first played a lot better.
Absolutely. And you might be the better looking of the two.
I know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you too have a lot of shit going on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm 45 years old.
I got a lot of skeletons in it. So I've got a lot to deal with her.
Well, thank you. Thank you for entertaining me during that. I probably led with that wrong, right?
Oh, yeah. Talking about the
championship loss. Yeah. But I thought that would be a good starting point.
John's a bigger football fan than you are.
Yeah.
Used to go to a game with his dad.
I'll tell you what, it was probably the third coldest game I ever played in my life. It was freezing.
Were the first two in high school?
No, one was in college here, and one was in the league before that. So when we played at BYU, West Nurse, so we went out to BYU, right? We're out of BYU. They're a good team. Like there's no, even back then, great team. Defense was solid. So we get the notice we're playing a night game at BYU, and we're watching the weather during the day, and it starts snowing. Totally unexpected. Snow flurries show up. It snows a couple inches, nothing too serious, but it snows a couple inches. The geniuses that work at BYU come up with the idea that they're going to water the field in Melbourne because they don't got a snowblower. So they water the field. Well, Bowie also looks at the weather and realizes the temperature drops below freezing. It turns it into like an ice rink. But it's an ice rink that's only got 1/16 of an inch of ice on it, and it's soaked underneath. So every cut block we throw, every time we fall, we break through ice that cuts us, and then we get soaked. We are drenched, absolutely drenched. We go in at halftime, no heat. They're pumping AC in the building during our halftime. And then we soak. Well, whoever saw the game, everybody watched the game. Westler, our defense killed it. Offense did great. We beat the brakes off of it and drove home in a snowstorm. Our bus driver fell asleep, almost drove us off the road, actually. It almost killed all of us. But that was one of the coolest games I ever played with. The second coolest game I ever played with was actually my second year in the league. First year in the league, we ended the season at Chicago. Everybody warned me about Chicago, like, hey, Green Day's one thing. Chicago, whole nother deal. Wind, freezing, whole 9 yards, right? Soldier Field, crazy. And we show up, it's 40 degrees, sunny as a bluebird, beautiful day of football, and I'm like, you guys are the softest bunch of people I've met. This is unbelievable. What are you talking about? Second season we went to Green Bay. Our second season we ended the season at Soldier Field. It was 16 below, I believe, at kickoff with a wind chill of like 36 below zero, and we froze. Absolutely froze. So that was the year we lost the Giants, right? We're 13-2, or 12-2 coming into that game with 2 games to play, one there, one at home, and we are absolutely freezing. And I won't mention who starting quarterback was at the time. You could probably do the research. That person didn't want to be there at all. I'm not saying he threw a game. I'm just saying he didn't play up to his standard that he played at that whole season. He struggled that quarter. Maybe on purpose, I don't know. But we went like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. We were getting our heads kicked in. And nobody cared because we know we locked up first place in the division. Our coach comes in at halftime, Mike McCarthy, and is screaming at us, calling us all kinds of names, the whole 9 yards. I'm a second year pro. I fear the coach at this point. He goes, if you guys come to the sideline one more time against that heater, I swear to God, a bunch of other things I can't repeat. And so we come out at halftime, and I'm like by the field, warming up, his kickoff's happening, we get the ball, we run out there, we run a few plays, TV timeout hits, right? Everybody leaves the field except for me, our center, and our right guard. My center is a 3rd-year pro, I'm the 2nd-year pro, and our right guard's a 2nd-year pro. And we're just standing out there, we're like, I'm not going to sidelines, dude. Like, we got yelled at already. I'm just standing out here and freeze. The ref comes jogging out to us and goes, what the hell are you guys doing? And I'm like, we're not going to sideline. Our coach is yelling. He goes, if you don't leave, I can't leave because the ball's out here and somebody has to be with it. And I'm like, sorry, man, you're going to freeze the rest of the night off. 36 below zero. We sat there the whole game. Like, I didn't leave the field for the whole rest of the game. Froze everything. So that's the coolest game I ever played in true history. BYU's probably right there, and then next one is probably that New York championship game.
So would Daryn College in year 8 done over the heater?
Oh yeah, absolutely, no question. I was soft by then, so soft.
Mike McCarthy, I forgot about him. He's actually in Dallas.
Yep.
Your thoughts on Dallas?
You know what? I'll be dead honest with you. I watch our guys that play. I watch the Boise State guys. I watch a few buddies I still have playing in the league. So I don't pay enough attention to it. Obviously, I want Dallas to have success. I want the Kellen Moores of the world to have success.
Let's talk about the Boise State players on Dallas.
Yeah, I want all those guys to have success. So I mean, I hope they win championships. You know, and there's, you know, I want Kellen to have a ton of success. And you know, obviously we've had a few guys that have left Dallas in the last couple of years, the Tyros of the world, and it's one of those things where it's like I've watched so much football at this point. It's like I support dudes. It's hard to support teams anymore. It's hard, you know. When Green Bay's on, I still watch, of course. I still support Aaron. You know, Mason Crosby's their kicker. We came in the league around the same time. He came a year after I did. So, but I enjoy it for the guys. But I'm gonna be dead honest with you. There's probably more volleyball and soccer being watched in our house nowadays with my kids than there is NFL.
All right, let's do it. What do you think about that? You don't watch football either, do you?
Not really too much football watching in my life.
Once you've lived it, you don't have to relive it.
Once the kids.
Yeah. Kids take over your life. You know, the great thing about being back in Boise State now is I get to watch all the Boise State games. I've won a ton of success for those guys, but now I'm at the BSU soccer games, volleyball games, softball matches. I watch BSU football. You know, I'm there for every game for that. And one of those things. You know, I watch college sports now, but the league's a business. You know, it's hard to watch it as the same way. Once you've gone through it, it's hard to watch the same now. I pretty much love all professional sports once playoffs hit. You know, I won't watch a single game of baseball until playoffs hit. Hockey,
once
hockey
they're playing
playoffs
for a
are some of the
trophy.
best. Yeah, then it matters. So, but I'll watch college football when I get a chance, and I'll watch Boise State whenever they're on.
Anything else there? Anything out there?
Things I want to get off my chest. It started with my mother. She was a loving woman. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, shoot, I'm here to answer you guys' questions.
I have another question. So my questions are dumb, so if you don't want to answer,
Okay.
it's fine. It said on the stat sheet that you had 3 fumble recoveries in the NFL.
You might be right.
I
Yep.
don't know.
Yep, I probably have 3 fumble recoveries. Stat that's probably not in there. I have 1 reception.
I was going to say, was that the only time you touched the ball?
Nope, I have 1 reception for a first down, totally by accident. Aaron Rodgers, a ball got batted. I caught it, God knows how, and I knew we needed 4 yards for a first down, and I stumbled for 6. So I am a 100% wide receiver with a first down. So guaranteed conversions when old BC gets the ball.
What do you have, 3 yards if you fall forward?
Yeah, so I went for 3 yards and fell for 3 more. Actually, can't remember the guy who tackled me anymore, but we actually came in the league at the same time. I think it was against the Lions. And he chop blocked me to make the tackle, and I got up and I started yelling at him, you know, just as a joke. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a cheap shot. He's like, I'm not tackling you, big ass. Like, ain't no way that's going to happen. So he chopped me down, but he let me get my first down. So the only problem was I was dead for like 3 plays after that.
No, sorry, we talked about this before, but I also had a reception against Iowa State.
So there you go.
Yeah.
The story is way
And that's prior to I had to watch it. So
It's a similar play.
What you're saying is you inspired Daryn to say something.
pretty much
I
the
also
mentor.
I accidentally killed his chance at a touchdown reception in a
I wasn't going to bring that
in a
up.
game.
San Jose State at home, my freshman year. Now he says accidentally. Should I tell you how this went down? So we had worked all week on a play where I'm supposed to catch a ball. Right, we're playing. I'm 90% sure it's San Jose State. They had a really good defensive end that year, and you know the idea was that I was supposed to lose, let him beat me around the edge, and I was going to fall back. It was a screen, and elephants on parade. Everybody leads me in. There's no way they're going to cover. We got a man in motion. Easy touchdown, right? They call the play. We're up pretty good, and we step back. I sell it, stumble, lose, turn around. Quarterback throws me the ball. I catch it. Ball starts, right? And I'm like, and we go back to huddle, and Jason goes, "It's on me, man. I'm so sorry." And Rob Vine looks at me and goes, and this is why I was like, I don't know if it's fake. Rob Vine looks at me and goes, ain't no freshman scoring a touchdown while I'm out here, ever. And I was like, really? Really? So I was like, either Rob induced the false start, or he's just trying to take credit, and it was poor Jason's fault.
I had no idea. I had no idea. Maybe he did it with his mind.
No, he
made
looked-
me jump in his mind.
Yeah, he looked right at me and goes, ain't no freshman scoring while I'm out here. And I remember that speech to this day. And then 4 years later, Ryan Clady got to score that touchdown on the same exact play in my position. And it got him drafted first round. I'm pretty sure that was the play that got him drafted first round. So I was a second rounder, and I think I would have gone first had I scored that touchdown my freshman year. So yeah, my family thanks you.
Yeah, first round money is way.
First round money would have been better.
I'm not looking at people's draft stats.
Well, you fell backwards on your reception for -2 yards.
No, I did not fall backwards. I was tackled behind the line of scrimmage, sir.
I think you fell backwards.
Then you saved a fumble, really.
I saved an interception.
There you go.
It bounced right off of D-Mike's bulbous ass into the air,
Huge drop.
and I snatched it right before the linebacker. So
There you go.
that was
I've got 2 pass breakups too.
Oh,
So where did the same thing, Jason? Like somebody else was going to catch it, and I did the I'm fat and I'm falling, and did the break up the pass thing. So I play a little defense too. I'm not afraid.
gotta do what you gotta
Got to
do.
do what you got to do.
what else was there?
We've got a few minutes left, so maybe it's time to go to. I don't know. We're
Yeah, I guess
go for it.
we've had Rob on.
Yep.
And I think anytime we have an offensive line that's played with, I'm going to ask him, like, what was it like playing with Joe Boy Turner?
Well, you were an old guy when I played, so you were the other vet, but you were the only guy that was close enough to my age. So I like playing with JT. So, you know, right tackle was actually one of those jobs on our offensive line that, like, you actually provided some stability finally. When you became the starter at offensive line, that's when we kind of started our dominant role on the offensive line. So, yeah, we ran the ball a lot more. We always had a good core. We always had a good three. Obviously, with Scott helped leading it, the Rob Lyons and Matt Naps of the world. So JT and I were on the edges, you know, figuring it out.
Clearly, you were on the blind side, the more important side.
Well, at that time,
Obviously,
yeah, obviously, we needed somewhere. We need, you know, we had. Well, the problem is we've got a young guy at the left tackle. You need to be able to have a guy who can boot to the right, and that's what we just did. We needed stability at the right tackle position, so the quarterback had somewhere to bail when the young guy at the left was still figuring it out. So,
Nothing but praise for you. I'm trying.
Nothing but
Trying
praise.
So hard.
Too kind for you.
exactly. I mean,
Would you say it made you look better out there?
not all the time. Only one time did he really make me look really, really good. And there was an old highlight of me hurtling over a guy that fell down on a screen, and I want to say Jay Swilly was on a screen, on a wide receiver screen, and I had to jump over a guy that fell down, and I made a block downfield, and JT tripped on the guy. And I remember, the only reason I remember this is Chris Strasser, our coach, rewound it like 10 times and was like, athlete? Not an athlete. Athlete. Now, to JT's credit, I was like 280 pounds, and I was a sophomore, and he was a bigger man, so a little bit bigger jump for him.
Tape don't lie.
Tape don't lie, though. That was the one time Jason's entire career made me probably look better
There you go.
than I was.
So Rob Vine knocked you down around. Jason maybe moved you up a little bit.
Rob Vine knocked a lot of people down a peg or two.
No, I mean in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not.
Yeah, JT brought me back
I'm
up one
scared of
round.
him too, man.
Yeah, Rob brought me down
I remember
around.
there was a couple games where they had like a really strong end that was playing on the right side,
Yeah.
like Nevada.
Yep, Diaz
Cordova.
or Cordova, there you go.
Right? So then they're like, oh, for George, right? George.
Yeah, George Cordova.
Don't go against Daryn. That guy's huge. Look at this puny guy on the right tackle. You need to line up against him. Like, you're going to wax this guy. But you know how it is when they line up with their wrong hand and they can't figure out how to turn right? It's like NASCAR, right?
Yeah. They don't know how to make that turn.
Zoolander, right? Zoolander.
They were actually, so when we went to that game, it's so funny you mentioned that game. So they were actually, Cordova, their defensive tackle, who I can't remember his name, worth remember his name, they were actually tied for the NCAA record that year, or leading NCAA that year for combined sacks between the two of them. They were working as a tandem, and we were like, we'd scout them all week. And we knew we had some problems. Dinwiddie's quarterback, we were used to putting up points. And we were hanging in there. Like, we're getting after them a little bit. We're having a good game, but we've got, JT and I got our hands full. And we come in the huddle, probably third quarter sometime, and Dinwiddie gives us this dead serious look. We got to know Dinwiddie. He comes in the huddle and goes, guys, he doesn't ask on like carrying question, but he looked at us dead and goes, how you guys doing? And I looked at him and I think we're doing pretty good. I think we're holding on. He goes, good. He's like, I'm really going to start talking shit. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I don't need that. No question. Next play, we walk up, walks in line, goes, you guys are crap. He's like, you haven't done nothing all game. I'm like, what is he doing? Why?
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
I must have been just too full of anxiety. I was a nervous.
Oh, so was I. I didn't eat food before our games. So
I did not.
I could eat chicken and rice before our games. That's all I ever ate before games. All the way through the league. So, yeah, exactly. Boiled chicken and rice.
All right. Well, we're running. We're getting towards the end here, so maybe we'll
Now
do
it's time for speed round.
Yeah. Do you have time for a quick lightning
All right,
round?
lightning round, let's go.
Maybe a quick projection for the game.
All right.
And then we'll get you out of here. All right. Lightning round. We're not even going to go into how this started or anything. So.
Okay.
I don't even know if I have any lightning round. Good question.
Talking to the mic.
Sorry. Okay. There we go. Sorry. I forgot how to do
Are we
this.
going to do Bronco Bot today?
I don't think the Bronco Bot's going to come out.
Okay. We're going to run this by you.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for Bronco Block.
All right, so before I get into lightning round, though, you grew up in a small town?
North Pole, Alaska?
Yeah. So I guess the question for the kids is, when it comes from a small town, have you ever met Santa Claus?
Absolutely. Actually, the guy who lives in North Pole, Alaska, is registered as Chris Kringle. It's his actual legal name. So,
So he does
I've-
exist.
He drives a yellow hot rod pickup truck when it's in the off season.
All right, well, this is a synthetic lightning round, but we're going to do it anyway, all right? I guess Idaho versus Alaska. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Alaska's much bigger.
All right?
Much more women here. How about that?
All right. Boise or the North Pole?
Boise.
All right. Rogers or Favre?
Rogers.
Yes, the one with the ring, right?
Well, actually, it doesn't even come down to that. I mean, Rogers won a Favre won a championship too, but Favre was in his 30s when I came in the league, and at that time I was a young guy, and it felt like I was super old. Like we didn't have a lot of conversation. Yeah, it's like a coach. He was teaching you about life, and he was teaching you about what it was. Aaron and I came up together around the same age. We golfed together, had meals together. I loved Daryn. Now he's made $500 million since then, so he might be the biggest asshole you've ever met. So I don't know anymore. We're not on Snapchat together. So,
I got you.
but when we played together, loved the guy.
So you have the 25th. So we'll probably bring you out to the field.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even get the invite to the White House, so I'm not expecting an invite anytime soon.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, well we won our championship and then the lockout happened. So the next year's team actually went to the White House, and half those dudes didn't win a championship. So whoever's in the White House for the next term, that dude needs to invite me, or that chick needs to invite me out, because I still need my White House visit.
Bro, I would just show up.
With the ring?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my ring.
Ring.
No
Yeah, I mean,
question.
with your ring and your service, they should get you in 15 minutes.
No question.
Yeah. All right. Well, one last bit of business, unless you want to add anything here.
No. I'm just sorry that this podcast isn't as big as Rogan, because I know Aaron is on Rogan this week.
This is my Rogan.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been on Rogan either, so we're
We
good.
don't have any conspiracy theories.
Yeah, this is my Rogan.
Yeah, I'll talk about that after.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So I guess obviously Oregon State this weekend. Are you going anywhere?
Absolutely.
All right.
Leaving tonight.
Oh, thanks for sticking
We
around.
gotta get
buddy.
back.
Yeah, I'm actually only staying because of this.
Yeah, we appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much. So it looks like BSU 2.5 point underdog.
Yep.
It's going 3. What's your prediction for the
We'll
game?
actually have to call it 2.5 because most books will actually give the home team 3 points. That's kind of the rule in Vegas. So 2.5 actually means that we're really the favorites. So I'm going the same. I'm saying the score: Boise 100, Oregon State 0.
That sounds very.
So I'm taking a Boise State win by a landslide. Landslide and a chance to tie up the series.
I know, I want to get him back to that stupid Ford Progress call.
Oh, unbelievable! I've tried to forget that. So.
Oh, man.
Oregon State owns the lead right now, 4-5 or 5-4 in the title series. So I think we even it up this weekend. Gets back to even.
Thank you so much, Daryn Colledge. We always leave on this question. Who would you like to see next on the Bronco Alumni Show? You wanna call anybody out?
Who do I want to call out for the Bronco Alumni Show? Oh man, I don't want to see anybody else. I think I'll just show up again. Who would be? What kind of position do you want to go? Because I got. You know what?
Anybody.
Word on the street is Quinn Michael is back in Boise, Idaho.
Oh. Yeah, we know
did a
Quinn.
call-in. We
Yeah,
did
we
a
did
call-in
call in
with
with
him.
him last
Okay, Quinn
yeah,
Michael.
or no, 3 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah.
Somebody find Rusty Colburn.
Rusty?
Colburn, or Corey Hall's got to be on it. So
Corey, no.
Not yet.
get Corey Hall.
There you go.
Corey Hall it is.
All right.
All right, well,
Glens Ferry's finest.
if we don't have, if you know any of those guys' phone numbers, yeah, that'd be great.
Corey's number is 208-851-1111.
That sounds about right. All right. Well, Daryn Colledge, anything else, or are we out of here?
Let's call it.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. This has been the Bronco Alumni Show.
We apologize to anybody whose phone number that might actually be.
Corey Hall, 208-851-1111.
There's no
We will see you next time. Thank you.